Done.
Um, Good evening, guests. Thank you for joining us tonight for this presentation on eating disorder awareness. We're just going to wait until 6:05 to see if more participants join us, and then we'll get started. Okay, thank you for being patient with us. Good evening, everyone. We're going to get started now. Thank you for joining us today for this webinar on eating disorder awareness. Um, for this month, Bloomfield Department of Health, Essex County Office of Public Health Management, and Autumn Leaves Foundation are partnering to bring you information and resources on body dysmorphia as well as positive body images. As part of this effort, we've invited Deborah Hanoka for a presentation tonight. The topic is on eating disorder awareness and building positive image. So I'd like to get started by introducing Deborah to us. Deborah is a longtime resident of Bloomfield Township. By profession, she's a fitness instructor with over 25 years of experience in corporate fitness, including leading fitness classes, employee wellness programs, personal training, motivational speaking, diet accountability coaching, etc. Educating people about their own bodies, their mindsets around diet and exercise, and then helping individuals find a balance between the two to reach their health and fitness goals with ease is Deborah's passion. So in 2016, she started her own business. It's called DEB Deb Fitness. DEB stands for Diet, Exercise, and Balance, where she puts this passion that I described earlier to practice by motivating her clients to live a healthy lifestyle through diet, exercise, and balance. Deborah earned her bachelor's degree in communication arts with a minor in dance from Hofstra University, and following this, she went on to receive her Master of Public Health with a focus in community health education from Hunter College. So without further ado, I invite Deborah to start her presentation.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Hi, everybody. Welcome to this eating disorder awareness and building positive body image. I started, as Sarah mentioned, I started my own business, and I'm a personal trainer and a fitness instructor, but I also love doing motivational talks. And we decided to call this the Deb Talk, and it's a play on words off TED Talks. If you've ever seen or heard of TED Talks before, they're a motivational platform on YouTube. And so that's where this Deb Talk comes from. So I'm excited to share my thoughts with you and some facts about eating disorders and some motivational tips. So if we can get started, Alicia is going to be handling the slides for me. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Alicia. All right, so I'd like to start with my story and just kind of tell you a little bit about me and my experience with eating disorders. I've never been diagnosed with one, although I am a child of the late 70s and 80s, where we started to hear about eating disorders like anorexia nervosa, and that's where I started to hear about them. And I also grew up in New York, and I also grew up in the ballet dance world. And that was a very interesting world at that time for a young woman who's growing up, and I was only a teenager. In ballet and dance, you had to be very thin, and genetically, I never have been thin, and I've always struggled with my weight. And I had a very thin mother who imposed a lot of of her own body images on me as her only daughter. And she put me in Weight Watchers when I was 12. So I talk a lot about that because, I was at a very impressionable age, and at a very early age, I was already being introduced to all of these body image, things that started to cause self-esteem issues for myself, disordered eating as well, and depression. So although I would really never had anorexia or I never had bulimia, I definitely experienced body image issues growing up, and again at an early age. So I'm going to proudly be 57 years old in April, and it wasn't until my late 40s that I started to really go on a journey of feeling better about myself. and I was able to lose a lot of weight, even though I was in the fitness industry. I struggled with my weight. So things that I was helping my clients with, I was also struggling with. And I think that's a lot of the reason I actually chose this career in the fitness industry was almost, in a way, a therapeutic way for me to kind of work through my own issues. But I was able to change my mindset and my habits. And not only did I lose weight for good, I lost 50 pounds about 10 years ago, and I've been able to keep it off. But I've also been able to become more secure in myself and live a more balanced mind and life overall. And I figured out a lot for myself, and I really want to help others figure it out for themselves. I tend to work in my business with women and men over the age of 40. So I was excited for this opportunity to talk to younger people because I wish that somebody had been there for me when I was younger. And I don't want younger people to wait until they're in their late 40s to figure it out. I really would much rather be a motivator for younger people to help them figure it out at a much younger age so that they can live a balanced life. So with the right tools and making small changes to everyday habits, we can all feel better. And we're going to talk about that as the presentation goes on. Thanks, Alicia. Next. Thank you. So today we're going to be discussing eating disorders because it's Eating Disorder Awareness Month, and we're going to discuss the most common three types of eating disorders, what causes them, and how they affect our health and our mental state. We're also going to discuss body dysmorphia, which isn't tied into food, but is also in the category of the eating disorder world. And we're going to discuss what causes it, the signs and the symptoms of body dysmorphia, and also the treatments. And last but not least, we're going to discuss prevention. We're going to discuss body positivity. We're also going to discuss body neutrality. What are the differences between the two? What are they, and how we can get those, and we can get it. And then we're also going to discuss the voodoo word diet, which again, we're going to talk about in a whole new realm in this presentation. But that is going to relate to the nutrition portion and exercise, which is the movement portion. And I'm going to be giving advice and some healthy tips for everyone. Next. All right, so let's get into the nitty gritty of what eating disorders are. So we know February is Eating Disorder Awareness Month. And in the left-hand corner here, I literally looked it up in the dictionary online, but I looked up the actual definition. So it's a noun, and it's any of a range of mental conditions in which there is a persistent disturbance of eating behavior and impairment of physical or mental health. So it is imperative to bring awareness to this serious health condition that affects people physically, mentally, and emotionally. It's not just about food. It's not just about working out and exercise. It's very much mental, and affects people emotionally. Eating disorders are categorized as a mental health disorder that affects a person's eating behaviors, attitudes, and feelings about food, and then feelings and perceptions about their body. And again, we're going to go through all of those things next. So let's start with what causes eating disorders. There is no single cause for eating disorders. Genes, environment, and stressful events all play a role. And it could be any one of those things. It could be all of these things for an individual. Some things that can increase a person's chance of having an eating disorder are poor body image, too much focus on weight or looks, dieting at a very young age, playing sports that focus on weight, such as gymnastics, ballet, ice skating, and wrestling, just to name a few, having a family member with an eating disorder, and also mental health issues, such as anxiety, depression, and OCD. So, again, going back to my story, a lot of these things that are mentioned on this slide, I experienced, and I already mentioned I was on Weight Watchers at the age of 12, so I was already dieting or taught to diet at a young age. There was a lot of focus on weight, on my looks through my mom, my mother, and my family, and also through the dance world that I was part of at a very young age. So it created poor body image for myself. Um, and it caused some of these things. So it can really affect many people in many ways. And then individually, it depends on if a person will then develop any one of the three major eating disorders that occur. And we're going to go into those in a moment. Next. So the most common eating disorders are, and I'm sure you've heard of these, anorexia, bulimia, and binge eating. If any of these are left untreated, they can cause long-term issues and can be fatal. But with proper treatment, it is possible to return to healthy eating habits. And we'll discuss that in depth. These are the three main ones. And again, they're all very different. They all have consequences. Some are the same, some are different. But if left untreated, it can be very, very bad. And as this says, it can be fatal. Next. Okay, so we're going to break down each of the eating disorders separately. All right. So anorexia is the first one we will talk about. And people with anorexia, again, this is based on the individual, but in general, people with anorexia eat very little on purpose, leading to a very low body weight. So as we know, if you do know about anorexia, we tend to think about it as somebody who's very, very thin. They also can have an intense fear of weight gain and fear of looking overweight. They don't have a good perspective on their weight. Also, having a distorted body image, and they see themselves as overweight even when they aren't. So somebody can be extremely thin in a when we can look at them and say, oh my goodness, they're so thin, or skinny, as we use the word skinny, but they don't see themselves that way. Next. People with anorexia are very strict about what and how much they eat and think about food or calories almost all of the time. So they become obsessed with that. To lose weight, some people fast or exercise too much. So fasting, as we know, is just simply not eating. Some people may even call it, starving. And then some people just exercise too much, over exercising, which can cause problems. Others may use laxatives, diuretics, which are water pills, or enemas. Next. All right. The next category is bulimia. So people with bulimia tend to have an average body weight. They overeat and feel too out of control to stop. They do things to make up for overeating, such as purging, using laxatives, diuretics, weight loss pills, or overexercise. They judge themselves based on their body shape and weight. So again, similar to anorexia, but they tend to have an average body weight, or even could be overweight. They purge, which is the difference, and they can also use all of the pills that we discussed before. Next. People with bulimia eat much more during a set period of time than most people would. So within a very strict period of time, they will binge regularly binge, and then they would purge. And it's part of that cycle or that routine. It's part of their plan. Unlike people with anorexia who are very low weight, people with bulimia may be thin, average weight, or overweight. It can go in any direction. They often hide their eating and purging from others, so they don't want people to see. So they often eat by themselves, and it's a secretive type of thing. Next. The last one is binge eating. People with binge eating disorder overeat they feel too out of control to stop as well. They eat large amounts even when they are not hungry. They may feel upset or guilty after binge eating, and they often gain weight and may become very overweight. So again, the difference here is there is no purging, as the bulimic person would be, and the binge eater tends to be overweight. Next. So people with binge eating eat faster than normal. They eat alone so others don't see how much they are eating. And unlike people with bulimia, those with a binge eating disorder generally do not purge, use laxatives, nor exercise to make up for the binge eating. And I did some research and just to note, diagnosing someone with binge eating disorder is someone who binges at least once a week for 3 months in a row. And that's a clear sign that someone has binge eating disorder. Next. So I'm going to break down the health effects and emotions as well on the 3 eating disorders. So as I mentioned before, eating disorders can cause serious problems throughout the body. Anorexia, okay, let's go through those. They can lead to undernutrition and low body weight. They can also lead to low blood pressure. Someone with anorexia can end up suffering from feeling tired, weak, dizzy, or faint. Young girls can have irregular periods, or women can have irregular periods. It leads to weak bones, which is later on in life called osteoporosis. And in young people, it delays their puberty. It also leads to depression and anxiety and thoughts of hurting themselves. Bulimia can lead to same as above. Some of them are similar and overlap. But in addition, bulimia can also cause blood in the vomit or stool. It can cause problems with your teeth, tooth erosion and cavities due to the purging, swollen cheeks in their salivary glands, low self-esteem, and also bulimia can also cause addictions such as alcohol or drug problems. Binge eating can lead to some of the same as the above, but in addition, binge eating also is known to cause diabetes, high cholesterol, fatty liver, and sleep apnea, which is where you stop breathing in your sleep. It causes a lot of problems with your sleeping. All eating disorders can cause people to feel alone and out of control. So all of these tend to be disorders where people isolate themselves. Next. So what if you think you have an eating disorder, or I couldn't fit it in the slide, but what if you know someone who has an eating disorder? Well, there's 3 things you want to do. You want to tell someone. Tell a parent, a teacher, a counselor, or a trustworthy person in your life, and let them know what you're going through and ask for help. I also recommend getting help early. As I mentioned before, this could be a very serious, can lead to very serious problems, as we just mentioned in the slide before. So when an eating disorder is caught early, a person has a better chance of recovery, and people can definitely recover from these eating disorders. And also to remember that they're not alone. And there's definitely a lot of resources and also, groups that people can join to get help. And the last thing is be patient. Be patient with yourself or with your loved one. There's so much to learn, and change happens a little bit at a time. Take care of yourself and be with people who support you. And we'll talk more about getting help in a few moments. Next. All right. The last thing that is part of the eating disorder category, but not related to eating or binging, is body dysmorphic disorder. Body dysmorphic disorder causes people to feel worried that parts of their body are flawed in some way. People with this mental health condition spend hours concerned that something is wrong with their looks and see their flaws that others wouldn't notice. So people with this disorder tend to focus on their looks to the extreme. They feel upset about their appearance all the time. They check or fix their body parts often, and they often miss out on being with friends, going to school or work, or doing normal activities because they don't want to be seen. This makes them feel alone, leads to sadness, and of course, depression. So body dysmorphic or disorder can happen at any age. I actually have a client who's in her 60s who has body dysmorphic disorder. It started at a young age from some of the things that we talked about before. Growing up, with a mother who was overbearing and focused on her weight and was on diets at a very young age. She never had an eating disorder, but she suffers from this, and she's in her 60s and still struggles with it, and has sought out help. So it's something that she struggles with still. So it can happen to anybody. Next. So what causes it? All right. So there's still very much to learn about body dysmorphic disorder, but experts believe that these things play a role in causing it. Genes. The disorder may be partly inherited biologically or through learned behaviors and tends to run in families. Serotonin, which the brain needs serotonin to be balanced, and serotonin is the chemical linked to your mood and your energy in order to work correctly. Levels being too high or too low may contribute to eating disorders or body dysmorphia. Brain differences. Studies have shown that some areas of the brain look and work differently in people with this disorder. It's important to note that it's not anyone's fault if they have developed an eating disorder or body dysmorphic disorder, but it's one's own responsibility to heal from one and to get help, or to seek out help, or hopefully people will help them. So these are some of the things that can cause it. Again, it kind of runs into the eating disorders, but this is specific to body dysmorphic disorder. Next. So how is body dysmorphia treated? So when somebody has body dysmorphia, as my client did, she has seen psychologists, and she has been on medication. Medication can help regulate serotonin or used. So these are serotonin SRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors, known as SRIs. And those are medications that can be taken to help body dysmorphia. They can help people obsess less about their looks and feel less distressed and less anxious. There's also cognitive behavioral therapy, known as CBT. And this is a type of talk therapy that helps you to learn to manage worry, fear, and anxiety. And it can be around anything, but this is definitely something that can be used around body dysmorphia. CBT teaches you that what you think and do affects how you feel. And you will find out how to change the way that you see your body through CBT. So it's known as the best therapy for this disorder. Next. All right, so the next things I'm going to talk about, moving on, is body positivity and body neutrality. But before I wanted to talk about this, I wanted to be on the same page about the definition of body image in general. We all have a body image. We all have body image about ourselves. According to the National Eating Disorder Collaborative, NEDC, body image is a combination of thoughts and feelings that you have about your own body. And again, we all have them. There are 4 components of body image. There's perpetual, which is the way you see yourself; affective, the way you feel about yourself; cognitive, the way you think about yourself; and behavioral, the behaviors you engage because you're of your body image. So a positive body image can improve self-esteem, self-acceptance, and a healthy relationship with food and physical activity. So this is just body image in general. And again, this relates to anybody. It's just a general thing. It doesn't have to be somebody who has eating disorders. We all have these thoughts about our body, a body image. Next. So breaking this down, I like to talk about body positivity, which is really important as it relates to body dysmorphic disorder and all of the 3 eating disorders that I discussed. So, one way that you can improve your body image is to practice body positivity. And again, they're all tied together. So, it is the mindset that everyone is worthy of love and a positive body image, regardless of how the media and society tries to define beauty or the ideal body type. It focuses on cultivating acceptance towards a positive body image through unconditional self-love. So some examples of body positive affirmations, which people with eating disorders and body dysmorphia are encouraged to do. These are some examples, and I have more in the presentation later as well. I am learning how to love my body. I am beautiful just the way I am. My body is a gift, and my body is good enough. So these are examples. There's many affirmations, but this is a great therapy for people who are, who are going through any of the eating disorders, and it's very helpful. But again, this is how their body positivity is encouraged to help them get through whatever they're going through. Next, body neutrality. This is a little different than body positivity, and some people body positivity works for. Body neutrality is a little different. I noticed when I was doing this research and when I was putting together this presentation, I asked myself which one I'm more comfortable with, and I happen to be more comfortable with body neutrality. So body neutrality is the ability to accept and respect your body, even if it isn't the way you'd prefer it to be. It is simply the act of taking a neutral stance towards your body, both emotionally and physically. It means you are not supporting the hatred towards your body, but also not investing time or energy to love it either. So, in other words, the body positivity for some could feel forced. Body positivity and an affirmation of, I love my body, and saying it to say it till you believe it type thing can work for some, but for others it can't. For others, they can reject that and it feels forced. So body neutrality is a way to say, okay, well, I don't love my body, but I'm going to accept that I don't love it. I'm going to work through that and I'm going to respect that, but I'm going to try to make move towards being more positive about my body. So it's more balanced in a sense. But again, body neutrality can work for others. Body positivity can work for others, for some. Some examples of body positive affirmation include, my appearance does not determine my self-worth. My body is a tool for living my life. It's not an object to be judged. I choose to prioritize my well-being no matter how I feel about my body. And my body is resilient and it's adaptable. So again, I think it's great. I think it's great to have both and figure out which one is best for you. Next. Okay, so I've got Deb tips, okay? I've got 7 tips and we're gonna go through them, each slide. So this is tip number 1, and again, relating back to everything we've already talked about. So Deb, tip number 1 is to look at yourself as a whole person. Remind yourself that beauty isn't skin deep. When you see yourself in the mirror or think about who you are, choose not to focus on just your body. Okay, with all of these disorders and just body image in general, we tend to just see our bodies, and it's better to look at ourselves as whole. In other words, what kind of good friend, what kind of friend are you? Supportive family member? Are you a kind person? Right? Are you a student? What do you do for a living? There are so many facets to who you are, and it's good to practice coming out of your body and more into your mind and developing really discovering who you are as a whole person. So writing in a journal is a great way to take time to think through these things. Seeing a therapist, going to therapy, seeing a therapist, and really working through and discovering who you are as a whole person. Trying not to view yourself the way, try to view yourself the way you want others to see you. How do you ask yourself, how do you want others to see you? Right? And an affirmation for this, I thought I attached an affirmation to all of my tips. And the affirmation for this I really liked was, my body is the least interesting thing about me. And a lot of the times it is. There's a lot of other interesting things about all of us that we can talk about and focus on. Next. Okay, Deb, tip number 2, surround yourself with positive people. This is really, really important. So these are some questions that I posed here that you can just ask yourself. Do the people in your life make you feel comfortable or self-conscious? Do they compare themselves to other people all the time? Do they love you for who you are or what you are? Do they celebrate your accomplishments or highlight your struggles? Do they cheer you on or do they slow you down? So these are questions to ask yourself. And, we have many people in our lives. We have people that we choose to be in our lives, our friends, right? We have people that we don't really sometimes choose to be in our lives, which is our family members. But it's important to be aware and realize what each person that's important to you, what role they play in your life, and how to manage that, and how to talk to these different people in your life, whether it's your friends or your family or a teacher, whoever that is, and whatever relationship you have with them. But it's important to really be aware of that. And the affirmation for this is, anyone who doesn't see me for more than my body is not worth my time. So really seeing your self-worth and putting time into people who are positive and love you, and help you love yourself. Next. All right, this one is shining a light on the big social media, okay, which we can't not talk about in this presentation because it's so much a part of body image, and which can lead to all of the eating disorders and body dysmorphia. So I found this from the American Psychological Association, the APA. Young adults who reduced their social media use by 50% for just a few weeks saw significant improvement in how they felt about both their weight and their overall appearance, compared with peers who maintained consistent levels of social media use. So I found that really, really interesting. And, you can continue to, research that and look that and read about that. Some quick tips is to stay off social media as much as you can. Now, I know in the world we live in, that's pretty much near impossible, but taking breaks is a great way to do it. I know I've done that myself, and I'm in my 50s, and even in, my peers in my 50s and older, we're sucked into social media as much as the younger generation. So I've taken breaks before when I'm not feeling good about myself and seeing about what all my friends are up to and doing. It's just nice to take a social media break. Stop following people just because their body looks a certain way. Do they make me happy or put me in a bad mood? So following people online, on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or whatever social media platform you're on, ask yourself, who are you following? And perhaps maybe consciously think about following, people who are positive, influencers out there that are, trainers who are doing good things about exercise and nutrition. There's lots of them out there. So it's about just kind of really being conscious of who you're following on social media. Follow body positive people. You can just look that up on social media and find people that are body positive people on social media. And I found this interesting term, bed rotting, which definitely isn't helping prevent eating disorders or promoting body positivity. I didn't know what bed rotting meant before I did this presentation. And it's just an interesting word for basically staying in bed or on the couch all day and just scrolling through social media. Set time limits on your social media. Uh, you know, however you want to do that, setting a timer, saying you're only going to be on social media for an hour or whatever that might be. But I thought bed rotting was an interesting term for that. And we definitely don't want to bed rot. The affirmation for this is my body is unique and doesn't need to look like anyone else's. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're scrolling. Next. All right, my next tip is about breathing. Recently, I took a breathwork class, which I thought was so helpful. And this can be for anybody, but it definitely helps with depression, anxiety, and ties into any of these disorders that people can be dealing with. So this is the one, there's many different types of breath work, and there's different types of breathing. And I know you're saying, Debbie, well, I breathe all the time. And I know as a fitness instructor, I'm always telling people to breathe, even though I know people are breathing. People aren't breathing correctly when they're working out, or they're holding their breath, or they're holding tension in their neck and shoulders. Those are a lot of the things that I talk to my clients about all the time when we're working out. But this is a really great technique for helping with reducing stress and anxiety. And it's called box breathing. Okay. And I found it to be the easiest, most practical one to use. And basically, you hold your breath, you inhale for 4 seconds, you hold your breath for 4 seconds, and then you exhale for 4 seconds. And then you just keep going, and it just around that box. Okay. So if I can't see any of you, unfortunately, I really prefer to do these things in person, but we're on Zoom. But if you want to try it with me, I'm going to do it just once. And if you'd like, you can just relax in wherever you're sitting, in the chair you're sitting in, or wherever you are. I have a chair with arms here. I'm just going to place my arms, on the chair I'm sitting in. I have a pillow right behind my back, and I'm going to relax back into the chair. All right. Sometimes you can put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly if you'd like. I'm just going to leave my hands here. And I'm going to begin the box breathing. I'm going to inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, and exhale for 4 seconds. So I welcome you to try it with me. Okay, here we go. Inhale through the nose. Hold. Exhale through the nose or the mouth. And there you did your box breathing. So it's really simple, 4 seconds each. And if you did about 5 cycles of these, okay, which probably takes about less than a minute, research has shown that, and it's evidence-based methods that have shown that it reduces stress and anxiety. It's keeping a clear and calm mind is key to well-being, okay, for anything. Next tip. Okay, Dev tip number 5, refocus your energy and correct negative self-talk. I was the queen of negative self-talk, and I know that for many, many years, up until recently, and again, as I mentioned, the last 10 years of my journey. I would never talk to anybody the way that I used to talk to myself. And I was pretty mean at a lot of the times. So when I finally brought awareness to that, it really helped through my journey. So I'd like you to notice when you're talking to yourself negatively, would you say this to someone you loved? Would you say this to your best friend or to anybody, your sister, your brother, anyone you loved? Would you be saying those things? I used to use the words fat and ugly. And, I'm 5'1", so I'm short. And I used to talk about that negatively. I wish I was taller. I'm short. I'm fat. I'm ugly. All of those things used to just be on a tape, like a recording loop in my brain. So, you want to challenge those negative thoughts, which is, again, these are some of the things that I did myself. So saying, is that really true? You know, I mean, yes, it's really true that I'm short, but is it really true that it's terrible that I'm short? Um, you know, was it really true that I was ugly? You know, again, these are things you want to really ask yourself, like, I don't know, is this really true? Why am I saying these things? Um, you want to put it on the shelf. In other words, reevaluate later when you're feeling when you're feeling less emotionally charged. A lot of the time, I would send myself into a tizzy and just get so upset and cry. You know, if you know, pants didn't fit me, or something simple like just getting dressed in the morning and my pants didn't close, or a dress didn't look right, and I would get very emotional. Um, you know, my advice to you is to just kind of step away and then come back later when you're less emotionally charged. Be here now, right? So be in the present moment as much as you can. Use the box breathing technique to remind yourself that you are not your mind, right? My head was going into this loop of negative thoughts, negative thoughts. So coming out of your mind, using breathing techniques, going for a walk, and we'll talk about that later, exercise, you know, different tips, which I'll be giving you to kind of get out of your head, right? Use your mind as a tool to reinforce habits that make you feel good about yourself. So again, you know, using the body image, the body positivity and the body neutrality affirmations that I discussed earlier, using your mind to use those as a tool to reinforce new thoughts in your head, right? I'm not ugly. I'm actually pretty or cute or beautiful, right? Just kind of working through that in your mind, and eventually, you will feel more positive about yourself. So the affirmation for this slide is, I can have a challenging body image day and still show up for my body, right? I had lots of challenging body image days, and I still, you know, I still showed up and went through my journey to help myself move forward. Next. Okay, so these next 3 slides are the acronym of my business name, which is DEB, Diet, Exercise, and Balance. Okay, so this first slide is the D in my DEB. Okay, now I know diet is it's a trigger word when it comes to eating disorders. I've spoken to people in the last week or so to help me do this presentation who've lived through eating disorders or have eating disorders, and they cautioned me to use this word. But the reason I placed it in the presentation anyway is because I really want to change the way we look at this word. Okay, and I talk to my adult clients about this all the time when we discuss their food, you know, them losing weight, which is usually that's what people want to do. You don't go on a diet. You already have a diet. In other words, the word diet is a noun. It's not a verb, right? We talk about dieting as a verb, right? Oh, I'm going to go on a diet, right? I'm going to start my diet on Monday, right? Or whatever it is. I encourage my clients, and I encourage you to reject the diet mentality, right? Again, you don't go on a diet. You already have a diet, right? We all have to eat to survive. This is the difference between other disorders or addictions like alcoholism, you know, or drug addiction. You know, those are handled differently because we don't need alcohol to survive, or drugs, but we need food, right? So we have to work through, how are we going to eat and have a healthy mindset around eating. We have to do it, right? So it's more about looking at your diet and what it is. Is your diet, you know, full of junk food and I don't know, you know, McDonald's and Taco Bell? Or is it a diet of healthy whole foods? Or maybe it's a mix of the two, right? That's okay too. There's no judgment. But really evaluating, you already have a diet. So what is your diet? Is your diet serving you? Is it serving your mind, your health, your energy? Is it feeding you nutrients for your body that you need to be energetic and feel good? Those are the questions that we want to ask. So we want to pay attention. And one of the ways that we can pay attention is by practicing intuitive eating. Okay. And this can be a whole presentation in itself. And I encourage you to explore intuitive eating on the internet or however you like to do your research. But practicing intuitive eating. Intuitive eating is a non-diet approach to nutrition in which balance, variety, and moderation with all foods are encouraged and celebrated, right? There are no good or bad foods. That's another language that we use around food, right? Oh, that's bad. Those potato chips are bad foods. Broccoli is a good food, right? So we need to get away from that kind of talk, right? And we need to celebrate all food, at any given time. So it's a great way to tackle this and to look at your nutrition and balance things out in moderation. Also, another thing that I talk about with my clients all the time is to recognize their hunger. Are you really hungry? Or are you really just eating because you're bored, you're sad, you're happy? Which one? There's many reasons. For me personally, and through my story, I was a boredom eater. Whenever I was bored or wanted to avoid something that I knew I had to do, like a project for school or work, right? Or clean my apartment, anything that I wanted to avoid, I went to food. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go get something to eat, right? It was a way for me to avoid that, or I was just bored. So recognize when you're really hungry, right? And the feelings of hunger as it relates to, oh, I better go eat. It's lunchtime. Or am I just really bored or, wanting something else to do? In addition to that, feel your fullness when you eat, when you have breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Feel your fullness. Really be aware of overeating, right? We tend to sometimes just eat too much. In our society, especially if we go out to restaurants or at fast food or whatever you're getting to eat, we tend to I'm sorry, I'm scrambling my words. The portions nowadays are huge, right? I go to a restaurant, I get, a piece of salmon, some vegetables, and some rice, and the portions are huge, right? So we want to really think about maybe taking half of it home, really pacing yourself and saying, you know what, I'm full. I'm not going to eat all of this. I'm going to get a doggy bag and take this food home, right? It saves money too, right? Because you get 2 meals out of one. So recognizing when you're full. Trust your body to make food choices that feel good for you. What foods don't make you feel good, right? I think we all know that. I mean, typically, someone will eat cookies and cake, and then feel sick afterwards or full. It feels good. Sugar is particularly that food that makes us feel good while we're doing it because it raises the dopamine in our brain, and sugar is fun, right? Cookies and cakes and all of those things. And then you have a stomach ache after, or you feel guilty after. So trust your body to make food choices that feel good for you. Okay. Cope with your feelings without using food. We talked about that and how I was a boredom eater. So I learned how to cope with that. So I really was aware of when I was bored or procrastinating. And I either went straight to what I needed to do, which was my school assignment or clean my apartment, or I would go take a walk. Okay. Because I knew, Debbie, you don't need to eat, right? You're not hungry. Cope with your feelings, find coping skills to find other ways without using food. And then the last one is respect your body and honor your body's cues, right? So respect what your body's telling you, right? Again, Honor when you're full, honor when you're hungry, honor when you don't, you ate something that didn't really feel good for you. Remember that, honor that, and say, you know what, I got to remember that didn't really make me feel good. The affirmation for this slide is, I am thankful for the food I eat, for nourishing my body and giving me energy. I like that one. Okay. I am thankful for the food I eat, for nourishing my body and giving me energy. I like that one so much, I had to say it twice. Okay, next. All right, the next one in the DEB acronym is exercise, E for exercise. So let's talk about moving our bodies. Get up and move. We are not meant to be sedentary, okay? We are meant to be moving. So moving is basically exercise. It doesn't have to be your traditional thoughts about exercise. Oh, I have to join a gym. I have to wear workout clothes. I have to do aerobics. I have to bicycle, do the bike. There's so many ideas of what people think they need to be doing, right? So it's just about moving. All right. First tip here is view your body as strong. Okay. We want to think about strength, right? Muscles, strength, being able to move with ease, pick things up. Pick up a box, right? Pick up, a child, a pet, get something from the top of a shelf, bringing a heavy box down, carrying the groceries in, right? Out of the car. All of those things, you want to be strong. Those are functional movement exercises that we need in everyday life. We want to be strong. Appreciate and test the amazing things that your body can do, right? And I'm going to go through some exercises later that you can test your body to see, can I do a plank? Can I do a plank for a minute? Can I do a push-up? Can I do 5 push-ups, right? Your body can do so many amazing things. Create or find a space in your home for healthy habits like exercising, stretching, or meditating. Now, this was one that I had in a presentation that I did during COVID. Which all of us during COVID were forced to find a space in our home, right? To do everything. You or your parents had to find a space in your home to work because we were all working from home, right? So for me, I had to have all my clients who I was training online, I had to have them find a place in their home where they can exercise with me or stretch or meditate or whatever it is that you like to do. I still encourage that, right? Because when we can't get to the gym, right, or we're too busy, or we can't go out for a walk, make a little space in your home that you can do a few exercises. And again, I'm going to show you that in a second. Pick something that you like to do and do it. Dancing, walking, hiking, lifting weights, biking. A lot of my clients say to me, Debbie, well, I hate running, or I hate, I don't like lifting weights, or I don't like the bicycle. Okay, then don't do it, right? Pick something that you like to do because you're more likely to do it if you like it. So find the things that you like to do. Don't do things you don't like to do. I hate running. Okay. I would rather poke my eyes out than run, right? So that's not going to be my go-to when it comes to exercise. Get a workout or movement buddy, right? So get a friend to do it with you. Research shows that if you have somebody to do it with, it'll become more of a habit, and you'll be more excited to do it, and you'll continue it. Don't know what to do at the gym or at home? YouTube is your friend, right? Nowadays you can YouTube anything, right? Search mindful exercises, or walking in place, or lifting weights. There's so many things that you can search for on social media or on YouTube that you can do at home. If you don't like doing it from your phone or your computer screen, and you do want to join a gym at school or at home, great. Take a class if you like doing classes. People like classes. Some people don't like classes. Or you can hire somebody like me, right? I have over 30 clients that do not like working out on their own. So they've hired me to motivate them and to show them what to do and how to do it safely, right? So hire a trainer, or somebody who's certified that can help you make up a routine or a plan, okay? All you need is as little as 10 to 30 minutes. Oop, what happened?
Sorry, I don't know. Weird.
That's okay. Oh, there we go. Okay, good.
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's okay, Alicia. It's okay. No worries.
We're on 7, right?
We're on 7. Yep. Okay, good. So all you need is as little as 10 to 30 minutes a day. And I tell my clients this all the time. Again, we have this idea in our head that we have to go to the gym and it takes an hour or it takes an hour and a half, or I should be doing all of these things, where it literally, I can teach you how to do a 10-minute routine or a 30 up to 30 minutes a day. And if you want to do longer, great, right? But we don't need a lot of time, right? To create strength, to exercise, to move. The affirmation for this slide is, I am grateful for all the things my body allows me to do. Okay. So I love that one. Our bodies can do so many things. And that segues right into the next slide. Okay. So as I said, moving your body doesn't have to be complicated. All right. So I'm going to invite you just for a minute, right? This will be quick, but I'm going to invite you to stand up with me. I'm going to stand up and I'm going to demonstrate each of these exercises. Okay. You may already know what they are, but these are very functional, very basic exercises that you can do anywhere, even in a webinar like this, where we are right now. Okay. So I'm just going to move my chair and hopefully you can see me. Okay. So highlight me if you can. I'm on Spotlight.
Did
All
you
right.
want me to stop sharing the screen so you could be the full screen? That might
Sure.
be better.
Yeah, you could try that. Okay. Hi, everybody. Okay. So here I am. Take off my glasses. Okay. So the first one is a squat. Okay. So literally relaxing your shoulders, pulling your core in. Okay. I'll do it from the side so you can see me. I'm going to reach my arms out and I'm going to sit back into my hips. And then I'm going to lift up. Okay. You can do it with your hands here. You can do it with your hands here, or you can do it with your hands here. Okay. So, and if you have a chair, you can even sit in the chair and lift. This is called sit to stand. And if you want to do a squat, you could just squat and lift. Make sure that you keep your head up, your back straight, and you sit back and then you lift. You sit back and lift. Okay. That is a squat. The next one is a push-up. Okay. I'm going to use the most basic of push-ups, which is against the wall. This is a wall push-up for beginners. I'm going to place my hands against the wall about shoulder width apart. I'm going to step back. If you're on your tippy toes, it makes it a little more challenging. My arms are straight. My hands are in front of my chest. And I'm going to bring my head towards the wall here. Elbows are slightly out. I know you can't see me from here, but it looks like this. All right. I'm going to turn my screen. You can make it a little harder by coming down to another level down here, stepping back and doing a push-up. Okay. And then the last one would be on the floor. Okay. And you could do it on your toes or your knees, and you could do a push-up. Okay. So those are push-ups. Okay. The next one that I mentioned in the slide are lunges. All right. You could do walking lunges across the room. So I'll show you. You could bring your hands on your hips and you could step forward, lunge, and lift. Step forward, lunge, and lift. Keeping your back straight. I'll do it from the side. You're going to place your foot out. Make sure your knee is over your foot. Drop the other one and lift. And then forward and lift. You can also do alternating lunges, forward and back. Okay, so that's the lunge. All right, good. And the last one is a plank. All right, and I think everybody knows what that is. And if you don't, I'm going to show you right here. Okay, you can do a plank right here on the surface of a table or a chair. And you're going to bring your elbows here and you're going to hold a plank. Your elbows are directly under your shoulders. pulling your belly in. I'm on my tippy toes. I know you can't really see the whole body. Relax your shoulders. Okay, you can do that here, or to make it harder, you can go on the floor. You can also do a plank on your knees, and I'll show you that real quick. This is the one on your toes, and then I'm going to drop my knees, pick up my feet for a modified plank. Okay, so those are really good exercises to do. You can go back to the presentation, Alicia. All right, whew, I'm sweating already.
Did you want me to, next slide?
No, not yet. I just want to review those really quick. So I just put here, those are the 4 exercises that I just demonstrated really quick. I hope some of you joined me and did them. I would recommend squats 10 per day. You don't even have to stop what you're doing. If you're working and you want to take a little break, you do 10 squats, maybe 3 sets. Same thing with push-ups. You can do them against your desk, or on any of the ways that I showed you. The plank, you can do 10 seconds, and then you could build up to 15 seconds, 30 seconds. A goal for my clients is 1 minute. That's my usual goal. I have clients who can do 2 minutes, but in general, I have clients who need to build up to the 1 minute, and the 1 minute is our big goal. Lunges, you can go from one end of the room to the other. You can do alternating lunges, just as I demonstrated. Okay, next. All right, tip number 7 is the last one here, and it's balance, and that's for the B in my name, right? So I need my glasses one more time. Hold on. All right, so for balance, I like to include in this category sleep, stress, and hydration. Just balancing everything out, right? So a lot of people forget that sleep is a big part of losing weight or being healthy, or feeling good about yourself, having a clear mind, energy, all of those things. I used to be one of those people where I used to always joke around and say, "Oh, I'll just sleep when I'm dead," right? And a lot of people say that. We're too busy to sleep. We've got school, we've got work. We want to have a life. We want to have a social life. We want to go out, right? So sleep always gets put on the back burner. And as I've gotten older, particularly as I've gotten older, especially in my 40s, when hormones start to kick in and your body starts to really change. Hopefully a lot of you aren't there yet, but it's going to happen. Sleep becomes more important than ever. So create a wind down bedtime routine, throw on some sleep music on YouTube. That's what I do. There's a million apps that you can look up for sleep, white noise, all sorts of things that you can look up to help you sleep apps. We want to sleep at least 7 hours a night. I mean, listen, everybody's different. It's individual. Really less than 6 is not good for anybody. Again, I've done a lot of research on sleep for my own journey. But less than 6 is just not a good thing. So 7 hours or more a night, your body needs time to repair itself. And this is where, when you are sleeping, if you've exercised and you've worked out and you ate well, or whatever it is, you feel good. This is the time of the night that the body, it literally is repairing itself overnight. Stress. Establish a habit to deal with and reduce stress. Things like controlled breathing, which we did the box breathing earlier, and there's many other styles and types of ways to learn how to do breathing. Meditation. Again, there are a million apps for meditation, and meditation can mean sitting in a quiet room for 5 minutes. It can mean, like working out, it can mean a million things. Because I know for me, I was like, oh, I don't want to, I don't like to meditate, and I've learned really small ways to do it, small incremental ways to incorporate it into my life. There's yoga. We've all heard of, yoga or Pilates or just plain walking. Walking is known to reduce stress, and we can all walk. It's free. And again, with the weather, hopefully soon, going to get better in the spring, just get out there and walk. And the last one here is water. Drink more. This was another challenge for me. I didn't like to drink plain water. I would drink more coffee than water. I had to really revamp my water intake. And it's just important. Your body is made up of 70% water, and you need it for your health, as you all know, your skin, your cells, your joints, everything. I mean, water, that's another presentation I can do on water. But make it fun. Make sure you're drinking at least half your body weight in ounces, and drink when you're thirsty. Well, they say when you're already thirsty, you're already dehydrated. You don't want to be dehydrated. And I have a fun water bottle here. I don't know if you could see, but it tracks my water. And this is called 3 Drops of Life. But there are many water bottles that look like this that are really creative and track your water. Because I always forget. I'm like, oh, how much water did I drink today? So this tracks my water. And the affirmation for this is, my body is my home, and I will build it up, not tear it down. Okay. That's that affirmation for balance. All right. And I think that's the end of my presentation. Yep, it is. So it's 7:11. I went over. I'm so sorry. But we still welcome questions, right, Alicia and Sarah?
Yes, it's 7:11.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Okay.
If there are any questions in the audience, you can unmute and ask. You can type it into the chat. We do have 2 questions that came in earlier in the presentation. So in your experience, what did you find helpful to change your mindset when it comes to having healthy habits without focusing on losing weight?
Right. So again, going back to the habits that I chose, it was just small things that I did. I used to think, like a lot of my clients think, that they have to make these big, grandiose, I'm going on a diet on Monday, I'm joining the gym, it's January 1st, and I used to think the same way. And I would just set myself up to fail, and I would, I'd start out strong and then, just kind of fall off the wagon of not going to the gym or exercising or whatever it is I wasn't doing. So I found most helpful was to make small changes in my everything when it comes to sleep, managing my stress, doing 10 squats a day, and knowing that I didn't have time that day to work out or go to the gym. Again, kind of going back to my presentation of when I spoke about, just, going for a walk when I felt bored. Just small little changes, like the silliest of changes, things that might seem the silliest of things, like, I drank a glass of water, the silliest of little things. I drank 1 more glass of water today than I normally do. And they weren't silly. They really made a big difference in the long haul of how I changed, my habits.
Okay, thank you. And then last question from my end. I know there's not a lot of resources out there on this topic. Were you able to find any great resources in Essex County or even in New Jersey for this community?
I apologize. I didn't, and I meant to put it into the PowerPoint. There's one resource that I was given from somebody who has an eating disorder, called NEDA, National Eating Disorder Association. And I also mentioned in my PowerPoint NEDC, which is National Eating Disorder Collaborative. And she mentioned that NEDA is a great resource in general for going to, and you can actually break down on that website looking for resources in New Jersey. Um, you know, so yes, and I can also look up some more resources if needed, if you know anybody's interested in, you
Okay. Yes,
know,
that is what we found too in our research, that there's very limited information out there on this, but NEDA is a very good platform, a very good resource platform for this eating disorder community.
yes, yeah.
Yep. So that's all the questions we have. Does anyone in the group have, anyone in the audience, do they have any questions that they want to ask? Great presentation, Deborah. So much a wealth of information. I've never heard of body neutrality, and then body rotting is a term for the very first time I'm hearing.
Mhm.
Lots of great tips, Deb tips, and then lots of sub tips beneath it. Love the affirmations along with the tips. Great presentation. Thank you. For our participants, if in order to get CHES or public health credits, Alicia will drop the link into the survey. Please
I'm gonna
complete it.
drop it into the survey, but also I'll email you all tomorrow, just in case it gets lost as well in
Yes,
translation.
yes.
But thank you all so much for participating, and thank you, Deborah, as well, for such an amazing presentation. It was very
Oh,
informative.
oh,
And
great.
Deborah, do we have your permission to share the slides with our participants as well?
Yes.
Okay. So the email will have Deborah's slides as well as the link to the survey. Okay. So thank you very much, Deborah. Thank you to our participants for joining in so late in the evening. And I hope everybody had an opportunity to learn something new today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.